With the State Government Code on Open Meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. These proceedings are being video and audio recorded and will become part of Judson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflects these proceedings, please silence your mobile devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Once again, I extend to each of you a sincere welcome from the entire school board. Thank you for your interest in Judson ISD. We have established a quorum, and I will call roll. Mr. Diaz.
Rafael Diaz here.
Mr. Macias.
Present.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Jennifer Rodriguez, present.
Ms. Eaton.
Deborah Eaton, present.
Ms. King.
Shatanya King, present.
And I'm Suzanne Canoyer, Board Vice President. And to my left, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot Ms. Pichelle. I didn't see your beautiful.
Renee Pichelle, present.
Welcome.
Our first item of business is acknowledgement of visitors and citizens to be heard, public comment. Do we have anyone, Ms. Holmes? No. Okay. So we'll move on to consideration of consent items. I'll read the items. If there's one you need to be pulled, please tell me. Item 3A, consider and take action regarding approving amendments to the budget for 2021 fiscal year. B, consider and take action regarding approving expenditures equal to or greater than $50,000.
Pull.
C, consider and take action regarding approving the monthly financial information as of April 30th, 2021. D, consider and take action regarding approving the donation deed and appraisal and just compensation waiver for the Rocket Schaefer expansion and bike pedestrian facilities. E, consider and take action regarding approving an easement to CenterPoint Energy Resources Corporation for natural gas and related communications facilities at Judson High School. F, consider and take action regarding approving the ranking for request for proposal 21-12 for copier and printer hardware with tracking software.
Pull.
So we're looking at items A, C, D, and E. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we accept items A, C, D, E as read.
Second.
Second.
We've had a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Pichelle?
Renee Pichelle, aye.
Suzanne Canoyer, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item B, consider and take action regarding approving expenditures equal to or greater than $50,000. Mr. Macias, you pulled this item?
Yes, just a real quick question. I noticed there was one item in reference to Copperfield and to portables being allocated to that school. So I wanted to understand that purchase and what's happening there. I'm sure it's typical, but I wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. As many people know, Copperfield is kind of outgrown its building, and as we are offering free pre-K for everybody, we are wanting to make sure that we don't turn anybody away, so it's for additional space.
And that's the only campus that will be receiving portables?
There currently, right now, we have some campuses that already have portables, so those portables will be staying at those campuses.
And Copperfield did not have any then, I assume. Okay. Again, I kind of figured it was a black and white answer, but if we have growth in that area, that's a positive thing. So certainly want to get ahead of it. All right, thank you.
Any other comments? Is there a motion for this item?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Diaz seconded. So we've had a motion and a second, and I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Pichelle?
Renee Pichelle, aye.
Suzanne Canoyer, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item F, consider and take action regarding approving the ranking for request for proposal 21-12 for copier and printer hardware with tracking software. Mr. Macias, you pulled this one as well?
Yes, ma'am. This one, I'll try not to go too detailed into it. I did see the list of vendors that were selected, or actually the one that was selected, but the ones we went through before we selected the one that we have. And I did notice almost a $2,000 difference between the one that was picked as number 1 versus the one that's number 2. Am I remembering that correctly?
Sorry, I am pulling it up right now, and I'm looking at the figures.
One was at 15,000 and one at 17 something.
Correct.
We picked the one at 17,000.
Correct.
The thing that kind of concerns me a little bit and why I wanted to pull this is because all of the other ones are in the 30,000 ballpark. So there's a big difference in price for one, and just trying to understand a little bit about that. But more importantly, there's also a ranking in there that talks, and this is something I brought up at previous meetings. So again, I don't need to go too detailed into it, but know that it is on my mind that we figure out how to be as objective in our assessment with ratings, because I think there was one where that one that we didn't select that had the lowest price had a number 25. If you can tell me what that is, I'm just.
I don't see one with a 25. Oh, sorry. Okay, let me see.
And all the others had 30. There were 2 with a ranking of 25 and the others with 30. If you could read that statement that where we ranked them 25 for the record.
I am, give me 1 second. So I'm on page 5 of 6, and give me 1 second. So
I'm
you
sorry I
want
put
me?
you in that spot, Dr. Ball. I
That's
should have had
okay.
mine up.
That's all right. So which one is it that if you tell me the name of it, then it might be easier for my eyes to pull it out. Which one did you want me to read?
The one that the criteria is 25 and we gave 4 other companies 30. It's that one line, I can't remember.
Yes, I see it right now. Quality of vendors' goods or services is 30 points.
Yes, had the vendor we didn't select, that was number 2, received 30, they would have been number 1. And so when it gets that close, how do you evaluate goods and services? And Mr. McQuaid, I'm not looking for an answer because it is hard. But what I'm trying to say is I'm always looking to try to make this the best process possible. And Dr. Ball, if you want Mr. McQuaid to answer, I'm happy with that too.
Oh, absolutely, because I know that Mr. McQuaid puts in a lot of time on this, so
Yes,
I think it's
I
only
know.
fair to give him time. So please come up, JJ, and give some information.
Good evening, sir. To your first question, the lower bid of 15 and change, as opposed to the 17,959 from Toshiba. The 15 did not include the price for the printers, I believe. But if you look, one of the reasons that we graded them over or under Toshiba was the per copy prices. And with the number of copies that we run per month, when we did the math out, it would have put them above and beyond where Toshiba was.
So that would then qualify under quality of our vendor goods and services? That's where that
Yes.
would have been ranked?
Yes, in quality of goods and services. We contacted several districts regarding Toshiba, and there was one other, pardon me a minute. Some of the Sharp copiers. We called and asked for references. The Toshiba, we got nothing but high marks on both the products and the service, user friendliness, all the way down to the very nice appearance of the machines themselves.
Well, like I said, that's what you get paid the big dollars to make that assessment. And then any input regarding the big variation, since we have 2 out of the 7, and 5 of them are in the 30,000 ballpark, but though the top 2 were 15 and 17,000. Mm-hmm. So any rationale or thought behind why there's such a big gap?
right now, machines are very difficult to get, and so they're kind of prized possessions, and I guess like vehicles out on the market nowadays, companies are putting some kind of premium price on some things. Other than that, it's just their individual markups and their company profit goals.
You're the expert, so I wanted to make sure to get your assessment on that. That's all I have. Again, my hope is that some future agenda item or opportunity is to have a workshop to work through our procurement process to really make it, really the best process that voids any subjectivity, that it's as objective as we can. And I think it's good. I'm just thinking, I don't want to insinuate that it's not good, but can we make it better? That's all. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Macias, we did work with our law firm, with Winnie from our law firm, to go through all of our ranking sheets and procurement process to take some of that subjectivity out of it. So you may have been gone when that happened, but they did work on all of our ranking sheets to make sure that.
Very good. Well,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you again.
Yes, sir. And we've also had discussions when we put a bid out, and I want just, if I could go a step further, please. When we put bids out, we assign certain values, how we tell the bidders that we're going to grade them. And we are going kind of through a whole new exercise of how we want to make sure that the numbers we put in there on the grading really reflects even greater the items or the services that they will be providing the district. Because sometimes I went back and looked at some and they just don't necessarily seem to fit every occasion, but so I'm taking on the responsibility every time we put something out. Between myself and my purchasing coordinator, we're going to be having some pretty hard discussions on the whys and how many points should be awarded to each criteria, so that we can even hopefully advance it even a bit fairer for all the proposers.
Well, I appreciate your hard work. Thank you so much for answering.
Thank you, sir. Anything else?
Is there any other discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Pichelle?
Renee Pichelle, aye.
Suzanne Canoyer, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Moving to item 4, discussion and consideration of action items. A, consider and take possible action regarding approval of an amendment to the compensation plan for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Dr. Ball.
Yes, if you've had a chance to see this on our board book, there were a few things that were left out from when we first approved this in May. I would like to remind the board that one of the reasons that we approved this early in May is because in an effort to not lose as many teachers and let our staff know what their raise and compensation would be, we were one of the very first ones in Bexar County to let them know. But we did want to make some changes and then also some that have been left out. So I wanted to see if there was any questions to the ones that are listed in the board book.
Hearing no questions, I'll call for a motion.
I make a motion that we accept item 4A, the compensation plan for the 2021-2022 fiscal year.
Second.
We've had a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Pichelle?
Renee Pichelle, aye.
And Suzanne Canoyer, aye as well. Motion passes unanimously. Item B, consider and take possible action to proceed with design, purchase, and installation of portable building which can be used in partnership with University Health System to provide wraparound services for Judson Independent School District students.
One of the things that has come out loud and clear from our committee meetings and our discussions with individuals is the need to make sure that we're providing all the services for our students. So I think that through COVID, we've realized that more and more school districts have to take on this responsibility, and we don't mind. We want to. We just want to be prepared. So what this item specifically is to purchase a portable that would be located in the Wagner area, right by Wagner High School. So parents could go in there, and it's a one-shop type deal where you can go in there and see a doctor. We'd also have visiting dentists, visiting eye doctors. Maybe you need help with filling out an application. You need eyeglasses for your child. So a whole variety of services, counseling services. So that's why we're calling it our wraparound services that we would be able to provide there, and we would be using our ESSER funds for this. So I welcome any questions.
Mr. Macias?
And obviously, I know the answer is yes, but just for my sanity, ESSER funds can be utilized for this type of support?
It's encouraged, yes, sir.
Encouraged. So I assume most districts will probably look at doing something similar, you believe?
Some districts already have this, and then the other ones that don't, I can't speak of for sure, but I do know that several districts, they already have this service.
Is there any best practices to be gleaned from those that have already conducted this?
Yes, so some staff members have already visited places. One specific is Southwest ISD that they've already had. One of the things that we learned early on is to have it located in an area where there is the need and that it makes it easily accessible to families.
And do we staff it, or is the University Health System staffing it?
We will be doing both, so it'll be a partnership with our staff and also with the University Health System. So hopefully next month we'll be providing that MOU.
Good, good. And since this is ESSER funds related, I'm sure there's an accountability metric involved with it.
Absolutely, and so will University Health Systems also have accountability matrix for it.
Is it number of people served? What's the major
A little
driver?
bit of both. People that are using it, then we'll also survey in regards to was it helpful to you? What other services could we provide? Also tracking things such as because you were able to go and see a doctor quickly, did attendance increase? So things like that.
And I applaud this effort. I think it's a fantastic activity to be engaged in, and a partnership even. But in terms of even the vision of the social-emotional wellness that I've been looking at for a number of years, having counselors on site, other opportunities to address family needs, social services, such as referrals to Salvation Army or anything like that, could be considered possibly, if it's not already part of it, as another resource for these families that are in need. But I think it's definitely along that line, and I applaud your work on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see Ms. Bichelle has a hand up. Go ahead, Ms. Bichelle.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I don't have a question, but just a comment that I am very glad that our district is working in partnership with University Health to meet the sensitivity needs of our students and their families during this past year, almost 2 years. We can see the decline in everything, and including their mental health, the anxiety the students have had, and their families also because they've lost their jobs. So I'm very happy to see that we're working in partnership, and I do support this item.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I too am really happy to see this coming. I know that when we talk about our students and how we want them to perform academically, they can't do that if all their physical and emotional needs aren't met. And so I'm really happy that we're taking this step to further that for our students. Being no further discussion, we'll do our roll call vote. Mr. Diaz.
Was there a motion?
Oh, I'm so sorry. We do need a motion. My apologies.
I move to approve item 4B, taking action on the design, purchase, installation of the portable building to be used in partnership with the University Health Systems to provide wraparound services.
Second.
Now we'll take our vote. Mr. Diaz.
Yes.
Mr. Macias.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Pichelle?
Renee Pichelle, aye.
Suzanne Canoyer, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item D, consider and take possible action regarding approval of the personnel report and updates, including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments, leadership development director, elementary principals. We will vote on this after our closed session. Oh, so I did. I skipped right over it, put a check mark by it, and said, my apologies. Here we go. Consider and take possible action regarding approval of the proposed budget for the 2022 fiscal year, the whole reason we're here. Can't forget that. Dr. Ball?
Yes, again, since we've had a few more people join us, again, want to thank Mr. Atkins. Putting a budget together is never easy. Putting a budget together when you've been attacked by ransomware and you lose all your information, OMG is all I can say. So want to thank Mr. Atkins for putting all the work in and all the extra hours in addition to the extra hours. So we'll just give him a few minutes to set this up and he will have his presentation. But again, Bill, thank you. Thanks for all you've done for this.
I do want to apologize because I finished about 3:30 this afternoon and I just physically wasn't able to get the allotments part of this presentation done. But I can get that done and bring it to you later.
I just wanted again to share to anybody that is watching or even to the board as to why. I think everybody knows, but just to share, we're required to pass this by the 30th. If we didn't, we couldn't have payroll. And if we didn't have payroll, we'd have some upset people, I think, right? So, absolutely. So, yes. So, again, just want to thank Mr. Atkins for doing this.
Madam President, Board, again, this is our budget adoption presentation. And we'll start with our general operating fund. Again, the taxable value of $11.9 billion. Our prior year value was $10.2 billion. The tax collection rate, that should say 98%. I think I missed a finger. Our estimated ADA for this year is 21,430, and last year we were at 21,350. Looking at the revenue, local revenue, this year we're estimating we'll bring in about $102 million. Next year about $108 million, about a $6 million increase. State revenue this year will bring in about $109. Next year we'll bring in about $103. About a $5 million decrease. Federal revenue this year, due to not being able to provide all the services for our SHARs, we're at $2.2 million. We expect to go back to about the $4 million range next year for that. It's an increase of about $1.8 million. And then the inflows was a settlement we had on Copperfield. So we have $214 million in revenue this coming year. This fiscal year we're in, and we're estimating $216 million for next year, a little over a $2 million increase. When we look at expenditures, the big increase here is in personnel. Again, the board is really generous, and so we're going to spend about $182 million in personnel costs this year, $191 million next year. It's about an $8.9 million increase. The operating costs are pretty close to the same, 32.3 and 33.8, a little over $1 million increase. So this year we'll have about $214 million in expenditures. Next year we'll have $225, about a $10 million increase. So that's how it breaks down. Again, we're looking at a $9 million deficit budget. Again, $3.9 million of that will be paid with ESSER funds. We look at child nutrition. This year, we're looking at local revenue about $500,000. Our state revenue about 900,000. Our federal revenue about 10 million, for about 11.4. Our next year, our local revenue will go way down, 251. Our state revenue goes up 2.5. That's our dinner program. And then federal revenue goes back to roughly where it was, 14.1, so about 16.9 million. And so about $5 million more in revenue next year. And the expenditures, this year we have about 6.3 million in personnel cost and 6 million in our operational cost, so about 12.3 million. So we'll have about a $900,000 deficit in this fund that will be covered by general fund. Next year, we're looking at about 6.9 million in salary cost, about 9.6 in operational cost, about 16.6, and so we should end up right around $300,000 to the good next year. And that's how that looks. So we hope to have a fund balance next year. This year we'll have a zero fund balance. Debt service, again, this year we did a big refunding, and so that you'll see the inflows and outflows, and that's just how we record those. But about 39 million in revenue. Next year we'll have about 44.7. State revenue goes down from 700 to about 200,000. Like I said, the inflow is just a recording of the $87 million that we refunded this year. In our expenditures, we have about 38.9 in our debt payments this year. No operational costs this year, and of course the outflows. And then next year we're predicting 44.7 in our debt payments and about 250 in operational costs, again for a $44.9 million budget. So it's a balanced budget. And again, fund balance, we estimate this year will be about 28.5, and again, we don't estimate taking any out of that this coming year. So this is the budget at the function level, which is required to be approved by the board. I apologize it's small, but I tried to get it on one page. But those are all the numbers that I just went over. It's just at the function level. And that's where I end. Again, I apologize not having the allotments for you.
Will the child nutrition, I'm sorry, this is Ms. Eaton. Will the child nutrition, will they receive more federal funds for the pre-Ks? I know you said we don't get paid for them, but do we get at least the...
Yes, ma'am. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has said that all students will eat free this year, so we'll get the federal reimbursement on every student, no matter whether they're qualified or not.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Macias?
Yeah. I'm sorry I wasn't here earlier for this budget process because I do have a million questions, but I promise you I'm only going to ask maybe 2 or 3.
Sure.
I respect that my colleagues worked very hard in this administration on this budget, so I won't belabor a lot of questions I have, but some immediate ones that come to mind. I did notice that the board budget for an internal audit was not present, so I don't know if that was eliminated last budget cycle or if it was eliminated this cycle or if I just overlooked it.
It was eliminated. It was one of the cuts we did last year.
Okay. So I would look at that next year to add that in to give the board the ability to conduct, any type of internal audit on anything. In the future, I may want to look at special ed from an independent audit standpoint or whatever the board would like to do independently. But it's nice when you have it already in the budget, so you don't have to go into fund balance and vote on it, all that kind of stuff. So that's one. And then what's the percentage now, for the record, in terms of allocation to personnel in terms of our overall budget? Is it 80%, 79? Where are we right now?
This fiscal year, we're about 82%.
Okay.
Next fiscal year, we'll be about 83%.
Good Lord, 83%. Okay.
Bill, could you share what it was before you got here?
When I first got here, we were at 86%.
So good Lord, we've made good improvement.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I'm glad I saved my budgets because once upon a time we were told 75%, 76%. So where that went, I mean, I have to look at my previous year's budgets, but I certainly would be interested to know where and how.
One of the things.
Can I just get clarification, Mr. Atkins? I'm sorry. Do you mean prior to what year, just to be?
I've been on the board a long time.
Right,
so-
but prior to 2018, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Not during your time. No, ma'am, not at all. But in the past, and that's with with Mr. Elizondo when he was in your position. It was in the 70s. So for it to go to 86 is a pretty big jump. So I appreciate it going down a bit.
Can I explain that jump?
Sure.
Mr. Elizondo, and lots of people do it, no problem. He was doing a percentage of total expenditures. My concern with that is when you're running a deficit budget, it really doesn't give you a good idea of what you do. So I do a percentage of revenue. So my percentage is based on revenue, and that's the difference between the 70 and the 80s.
A great explanation. And it certainly, that makes it very clear. But great. And of course, I personally just keep an eye on our personnel expenses because it can get out of control.
Me too. Yes, sir.
And then with the ESSER funding, we're using that for pre-K now. When will you guys, or if you haven't already decided, what are you going to do with the title money that's coming back? The title dollars that were once used for pre-K?
When the House Bill 3 came in, they had an early childhood allotment that funded the other half of pre-K, and so last year we put all that fund back at the campus. So there's no title dollars in kinder this year.
Okay, good. So that's me catching up. That's all I have, because I have a lot more, but I think this is all fair and good job on the budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I can't see you, Ms. Bichelle, so if you have something, you need to shout out. All right.
Madam
hearing.
Chair,
Oh,
I motion to approve item 4C, approving the proposed budget for 2022 fiscal year.
we have a motion and a second. We'll do our roll call vote. Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Bichelle? Okay.
Can we see her?
No.
Renee Pichelle, aye.
Thank you, Ms. Bichelle. And Suzanne Canoyer, aye. Once again, Mr. Atkins, thank you and your staff so much for all your hard work. Truly appreciate what you've done during this difficult times. I keep saying that a lot.
Thank y'all.
And again, we'll be looking at item D after our closed session. Closed session is next, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, discussing personnel, the personnel report and updates, including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments. 1, Leadership Development Director. 2, Elementary Principals. B, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, attorney consultation regarding legal issues related to potential, anticipated, or pending construction litigation and construction issues. C, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, attorney consultation regarding proposed settlement. D, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.076, deliberation regarding security devices or security audits. E, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.089, attorney consultation regarding legal issues and deliberations regarding security devices or security audits. F, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 418.183F, deliberation about information covered by Texas Government Code Section 418.175-418.182. And we will be going into closed session at 6:35.
And Lacey and Bill, we'll do y'all's first if you're okay with that. Or do you want me to wait since we're a little early? Okay, no problem.